Gentlemen, welcome back. You are back with MGTOW Money, and this, of course, is the only MGTOW channel dedicated to you and your financial freedom. How you can make money, how you can retire early. That's what it's all about here. Today's topic, I'm going to be discussing some everyday addictions, if you will, that are costing you money, that have certainly cost me, frankly, thousands of dollars over my lifetime. And fortunately, I like to believe I've gotten some grip on them, but I'm not perfect. I'm an evolving human being, and hopefully I can help you. And more importantly, hopefully you will learn from my mistakes, from my errors. Before we get to that, let me set the table. This, of course, is MGTOW 2.0. This is the second wave of MGTOW. This is about actionable, practical ideas that you can put into use immediately, that you can use to make more money, that you can increase your net worth, that you can achieve financial independence, that you can quit your job and retire at a young age. You want to be a broke MGTOW? Turn off this channel. Otherwise, listen in. Today's topic, everyday addictions costing you money. I'm going to discuss 3 of them. Of course, there's a million different ways that people blow money left and right, but some of the most common things and themes that I've seen from my life, from other people's lives, I'll discuss. Number 1, online impulsive, wasteful spending. This is, although it may seem ridiculous, the internet has been a boon to the spread of information, just like the printing press back in the 1600s, the Gutenberg printing press in terms of the spread of information. The internet has been phenomenal. It has been fantastic as a vehicle, as a tool of spreading ideas. Obviously, this video wouldn't exist without the internet. However, it has also been incredibly insidious in terms of its ability to market and to sell things to all of us. And unfortunately, using that 80-20 rule that I've mentioned numerous times in other videos, 80% of this crap we don't need. It's not part of our basic needs and survivals. I can't tell you how many times, unfortunately, I've saw something on the internet, I've purchased it. Of course, it's been shipped to me. I had it sitting on my table in my living room for a month, unopened. And if I could say that it happened once, I'd be lying. Unfortunately, it happened many, many times to me. And if I said I was the only one, I'd also be lying because I know this happens to many of others, and it's probably happened to you. So the bottom line is, stop buying stuff off the internet. Whenever you can possibly avoid it, do so. I know this sounds like some sort of common sense. Well, of course, everybody knows that. Unfortunately, there wouldn't be $1.4 trillion in the United States alone in credit card debt if people were following these types of ideas in terms of stopping the impulsive online wasteful spending that is almost reaching epidemic proportions. Unfortunately, also, what I've seen happen in my own life and others is that we're buying stuff not because we actually need it, but somewhere unconsciously, it's becoming sort of a dopamine hit. It's somehow giving us this short-term satisfaction of happiness when in the long term, actually, we're unhappy. So again, you've got to stop it. I can't tell you specifically how to do so. It's going to be very unique to you. If you need to get off the internet, then get the hell off of it. Let's move to number 2. The second addiction, and this one has cost me unbelievable amounts of money, ridiculous amounts of money, thousands of dollars. And specifically, of course, and evidently this applies to some of you, which is almost shocking to me still today. Specifically, I'm talking about addiction to women. Stardust mentioned the idea of kryptonite in terms of, he used the analogy or the metaphor that kryptonite, that some men do not have much of a resistance to women, and that women are like kryptonite to them. And therefore their tolerance to women and their susceptibility to women and to, if you will, becoming drawn into them and getting involved with them and that type of thing, that their ability to do so, their ability to control themselves and that addiction to the feminine species is very low. And unfortunately, I suffered from this through my 30s and up into my early 40s. It was a major serious issue. And yes, it cost me a lot of money. And yes, frankly, it is an addiction. And going back to what I had said earlier about online wasteful spending, as I reflect on it, I do believe that it was sort of a short-term substitute to cover my unfortunate unhappiness. And ultimately, it was not gratifying. So let's move on to another one. It goes without saying, though, if you're a MGTOW, you need to take number 2 very seriously, and I hope you are. I don't think some of you are, evidently, based upon the comments, but I encourage you to seriously think about it. Number 3, drugs, alcohol, gambling. It goes without saying, these are everyday addictions. And I'm not even talking about illicit drugs. I'm talking about legal drugs that are so commonly overprescribed today and commonly used, antidepressants, etc. Alcohol, which is widely abused throughout society. Gambling. I think I may have mentioned, I've known people who made extreme amounts of money, and I'm talking 6 figures, year after year after year after year, who are now in their 50s, and they're flat broke. They have no money. They were borrowing money from me for gas to put petrol in their car. It's unbelievable. And frankly, that was because this particular person, among other things, had a gambling addiction. He was very involved with sports gambling. Again, just like going back to that metaphor of kryptonite, these people simply have a very intolerant, or I should say they don't have much tolerance to being able to control themselves. And if you're dealing with that type of situation, drugs, alcohol, gambling, it is going to absolutely destroy your life, and you will never be able to retire early, and you will be working till you're dead. So you're going to have to make a choice. Do you want to become financially free at a reasonably early age? Do you want to retire early and live off your investments and start making positive choices about what you want to do with your life? Or do you want to literally continue to go to work till you're 70 or 75 and die at your job? Ultimately, you're a MGTOW and it's going to be your choice. But here's a couple of things that you can start doing immediately to get a handle on some of these things, at least get focused on them, because you don't know that you have a problem until, of course, you recognize it, until it stares at you very clearly in the face. One of the best things that I've started doing years ago, I mentioned this in a previous video, many videos back, was tracking my spending. And I do this to this day. I track every penny that I spend, whether I buy a cup of coffee or whether I buy a piece of furniture, whatever it might be, I'm tracking it. I'm noting it. In this particular case, I use an app on my smartphone, but of course you don't need to do so. You can use a pencil and paper. It doesn't make any difference in terms of the mechanism that you're using. The point is you're tracking all your spending and you're reflecting on your spending and you're beginning to recognize, where is 80% of my money going? Where is the bulk of my money going? Because I bet what you're going to find is that 20% of your categories, if you will, if you were looking at this, if you had to categorize your spending, that 20% of the categories, in other words, just a few things in your entire financial life, 80% of your money is being spent on. I talked about housing in a prior video, but there's, I'm sure, many other things, many other addictions that your money is being wasted on. It could, of course, be some sort of harmless addiction or what would be perceived as harmless, whether it be some sort of hobby, playing golf, fishing, maybe that boat that you bought years ago that you're still spending money on, the sports car, whatever it might be. The point is, track your spending every single day and start reflecting on that spending. After you've tracked it for a month or two, take a look at it and look at what is the vast majority of my money being spent on, and look at, of course, reducing it, because it's only when you start reducing your spending and increasing your savings are you ever going to be able to move forward to financial freedom. It's as easy as that. Yes, I get it. I hear from some of you, this is all common sense. Again, why do we have $1.4 trillion in credit card debt in the United States alone? Why do we have $1.3 trillion in student debt? If this is all common sense, if everybody knows this, clearly there's a lot of people who aren't getting the message, who aren't doing it. Let me finish by saying, gentlemen, we are building a MGTOW army here. We're building a group of men who are financially independent, who are financially rich. And I'm just not talking about cash rich. They live a rich lifestyle. They're making choices in their life. They're not having those choices imposed upon you. Join the army, because we're going to move this forward. I need you to share this video with your friends. I need you to post it on forums. As always, I need you to hit the subscribe button now. Comment if you found this information useful. As always, John Galt out.